Budget 2023 has been the buzzword in the investments industry since last week. My name is Sukhman. I welcome you all to the first ever Strata Masterclass along with Pradeep, who heads the finance here at strataprop.com. Today we'll be discussing and taking a deep dive regarding his insights and the market insights for Budget 2023.
Thanks, Sukhman. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on the first session of the masterclass. Budget 23 has been definitely the buzz keyword for the past 2 weeks. 1 week prior to the budget and 1 week post the budget, with various people talking about it and giving their views on the budget. There was a lot of anticipation with respect to capital gains exemptions, or even for that matter, increasing the investment limits for APC or the basic exemption limits. But obviously, a lot of them were addressed, a lot of them were not addressed. A lot of focus has been on the infrastructure development by the government and also on the new regime for personal income taxes.
Spoken like a true common man, where he's only speaking about his benefits for sure. But just to understand more insights from you regarding the commercial real estate market, what do you think about that? How this 33% kind of a capex exemption limit will affect the CRE market, the commercial real estate market overall?
Okay. Obviously, as I mentioned, infrastructure has been the key focus of the government in this budget. Although this was the last full budget by the existing government before the upcoming elections in the next year. So while they could have done a populist budget where a lot of people things were about common man could have been addressed, but they focused more on infrastructure and the overall economy per se. It was good budget. Obviously, when I talk more about infrastructure, what the government has done is they've increased the spending limits this year by the government. Now the government is going to spend 33% more on infrastructure development, which is aggregating to 10 lakh crore. 10 lakh crore for an economy like India is a lot of money, where allocations are going towards urban developments for infrastructure, for development of airports, coastal projects, road projects, etc. So definitely a lot of public spending is going to happen on infrastructure development. We're going to see a lot of infrastructure happening over the next couple of years. One more thing that the government has done is that they have given more allocations to the state governments, so that the state governments can in turn do their part on infrastructure development and spend on projects. They have even given 50-year moratorium, 50-year interest-free loans to the state governments, where if the state government spends on particular line items, particular heads of expenditure for infrastructure, they have an interest-free loan from the government to spend on those limits. So in turn, boosting the economy even further. Central government giving to state and state government actually spending it on the approved line items.
So that's true, and I really feel that all this kind of expenditure which is about to happen in the economy, that is going to help create a lot more jobs for us.
Definitely. So CRE per se, right? What you mentioned, right? CRE is all about the location. Location matters a lot in real estate, right? And when infrastructure development happening all across the country, the need for more and more office spaces, more and more SEZs, more and more warehousing spaces, or even for that matter industrial parks, is going to increase manifold. So that definitely increases a lot of boosting demand for commercial real estate. One more thing that the government has done in this budget is earlier there was a free hand in terms of limit, in terms of deploying capital gains on residential houses, where you could purchase houses of crores and crores of rupees and gain capital gain exemptions. Now that has been restricted up to 10 crores in a financial year for any capital gain exemption if you invest into residential real estate. So a lot of that money is also going to come back to the CRE market, where the money which could have gone for residential just to avoid taxes will now come to CRE, which will give you much better return in terms of rental yields on capital appreciation compared to that money going into residential and lying like a debt inventory or debt investments, which will yield only 1-2% in markets like Bombay or bigger cities.
No, that's correct. Probably coming from the investments team, it is a very good budget for me, whereby I can really assure myself that there's a lot of money which is going to come into the market, and we will be definitely making the most of
Definitely, a
it.
lot of money is going to come towards CRE because a lot of other avenues have stopped in the past year. We saw a lot of things happening about, let's say, crypto or new age investments, etc., where a lot of money was going, which was not coming here just because people were thinking that those returns are more attractive. But now people have understood the importance of having stable, investing in stable assets, which protect you in these kind of downturns and inflation adjustments that help you much better.
So that's correct. Pratik sir, just to continue my previous question, right, and maybe adding some more modulations onto it, right? Since we're talking about common man, and it has been little more like a populist budget as you discussed, and probably we feel that there will be a lot of more jobs addition in the economy, and there will be, let's say, more surplus income which will be generated, and obviously that surplus income will be invested into different avenues, which you just said,
Yeah.
right? So I really want to understand, what should be your personal advice in terms of, let's say, someone's portfolio where this particular money should be invested in. Do you really think there is something specific, or maybe something, what's your personal favorite, where you think that, if, let's say, there is some certain increase in your personal portfolio, you will increase your monies over there. That one asset class, which is your personal favorite, and where you would like to invest your own monies in this particular financial year, keeping all the things which have been discussed over here.
Yeah. So definitely, CRE will always be my favorite in terms of investing and creating more portfolio allocation for CRE per se. If you look at the government taxation regime, also now they have kind of given more importance to new regime where you do not need to invest in ATC, or you do not need to invest in certain heads of income, certain heads of investment just to claim tax exemption. So now you can increase your investment allocations towards CRE now, because when you are under new regime, you do not need to mandate just do that investment just to save that additional tax. With new regime, you don't need to make those kind of investment. So all of those money can definitely come to CRE, and CRE will definitely give you a lot of stable income and protection in terms of inflation and etc. Right, where your rental needs will escalate every year or every 3 years, or even your capital appreciation will happen for your portfolio value. So compared to a fixed deposit, while obviously we are seeing a good interest rate cycle for fixed deposits, what I believe is with the kind of interest rates we have reached, the peak has already come for interest rate, FD interest rates. So I think we will now look at downward cycle for interest rates in the next 1 2 quarters. So definitely a lot more focus on CRE and a lot of more
No,
investment
that's
allocation.
perfect. That's perfect. And eventually, I also believe that, with the kind of trend which we have in emerging markets right now, you talk about any other market, be it Taiwan, be it China, right? And all of these markets have corrected to a great extent, let's say about 20 to 30% also in some cases. Whereas, as far as Indian markets are concerned, Indian stock markets are concerned, they
It's
remain
a shining
relatively
star
steady.
in the entire moon cycle, in the entire solar cycle, right? If you look at yeah, what you mentioned, the various other economics and how they are performing, or even the growth projections for these economies versus India. India has definitely a much better growth rate projections by various leading research firms and research analysts. Even Moody's has come up with a recent report where they are anticipating negative growth for a lot of developed economies, whereas India is definitely going to be a much better economy with 17% growth rate for the economy. And when it comes from industry experts like Moody's or IMF talking about India as a shining star, it definitely means a lot for India.
No, that is true. And just to take advantage of it, I mean, uh, let's take last 3 quarters per se. We have seen somewhere around, let's say, 3 to 4 rate hikes, right?
Yeah.
With RBI stance being hawkish right now.
It's total 6 and 8 hikes, including yesterday.
Exactly, exactly. And I clearly feel that, there is a lot of scope right now to book profits in the market, and like you really said, we can book profits in the market right now where we are right now, and maybe invest our monies into more of a stable income class, and
Definitely.
earn more returns out of
So
it.
yeah, so last calendar year or last 3 4 quarters, the equity markets have been pretty much flattish, wherein it increased, then it decreased, then it's been pretty flat in terms of returns. In fact, our rental yields have given you much more returns compared to the flattish market that you see in equity right now in the last 1 year. So in the last 1 year return, or even our rental yields have beaten the market returns.
It's really good for us. Thank you. I think I should need some wood to touch right now. Let it be remain this way only. Extending some more topics regarding the budget 2023, sir. I really want to understand your personal take on investing into tier two cities. What is your take on that?
So, tier two cities in the last 1.5 year, I've seen that there's been a lot of traction in the tier two, tier three markets, especially with post-COVID world, where we are seeing a lot of jobs becoming remote, and even people like industry stalwarts like Nikhil Kamath, Nitin Kamath, they all talked about where our focus has to shift from only tier one cities where there's been a lot of load on the public infrastructure in tier one cities, and people need to bring up the economies in tier two where you earn there, you spend there, so that the local economy of tier two, tier three also develops. Instead of people from tier two and tier three migrating to tier one and increasing the load further. So tier two, tier three will definitely see a lot of traction in terms of spending, and also a lot of traction towards investments where people want to invest into their local markets, invest into commercial offices or warehouses in tier 2 or tier 3 markets. Let's say a market like Hosur, which is just 40 kilometers, 50 kilometers from Bangalore, but it comes under tier 2, tier 3. But definitely has seen a lot of traction. You and I both have seen the kind of progress that Hosur has.
Yeah, no, that is
the
true.
upcoming airport as well.
That is true. I mean, I clearly remember one of the first deals which we did at Strata. That was somewhere around 150, 160 rupees per square feet. But the recent deals which we are doing, it's upward of 200 rupees per square feet in terms of land.
Yeah,
So
even the
if-
rentals have gone up from 15, 16 rupees to 20,
Absolutely, yes.
23, 24 rupees. So those investors, the first set of investors who could push confidence on us, they're setting us pretty much good capital appreciation just on the basis of mark to market rentals. If those tenants were to move out and you get new tenants at the current rentals, your yields are going to be double digits.
And not only the notional profits in this case. I mean, there are many situations and many scenarios whereby Mr. Nitin Gadkari is coming up and stating that we are making these expressways. I mean, recently we have also heard that there is this new expressway which is coming from, let's say, connecting Surat to Hyderabad, if I'm
Yeah,
not wrong,
yeah,
right, and Kolkata as well,
correct.
right?
The entire Golden Triangle is going to be a reality, definitely, and a lot of work has already happened in terms of the Golden Triangle of the infrastructure development. Also, the other aspects of the other places you mentioned, those are also true, and those are also coming up big time. So that will also boost the economy on those belts. That will also give a lot of demand for warehousing and infrastructure on those places, because now with the kind of infrastructure that has been developed, the kind of roadways, expressways have been developed, it becomes more and more feasible and more workable for industries to set up factories and warehouses on those routes, which can give them faster connectivity to warehouses and ports and all the public infrastructure.
That's really great, sir. Pratik sir, which city are you from?
I'm from Kolkata, born and brought up in Calcutta.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I really want to understand your take over here. So since we are discussing that job creation is on the way, the production is on the way, in terms of, let's say, investments, your personal take is obviously CRE. I also want to understand your input that what are your favorite tier 2 towns, whereby you think that is the next, which can becomes the NBT of the tier 2 towns? What is the next big thing which is coming in this particular regime?
So when I talk about tier two, in fact, I want the government to also focus that Bangalore is no more a tier two. It is amongst the tier one cities in terms of all parameters. Obviously, it's not in the metro cities of definition of income tax act, but yeah, Bangalore has to move from tier two to tier one. Coming back to your question, yeah, I think a lot of cities like Bhubaneswar, Cuttack, or for that matter, cities like Surat, Jaipur. Jaipur, we'll see a lot of traction in the entire market that we've done over there. So those are some of the cities that really come up my mind. In fact, even cities like Vishakhapatnam or Kochi, Kerala, those are some of the cities, Vijayawada. These are some of the cities which are the next big thing that's going to happen in terms of infra development, in terms of warehousing, infrastructure space that's going to come up in these cities.
Probably you have covered everything. You considered Jaipur for north, you considered Vijayawada for the south. So probably you are also completing a golden triangle in that case.
Definitely. So that in fact is some of the aspects when you look at how the entire map of the golden triangle is, where are the key connecting points, where are the key exit points that have been created, and a lot of these cities will come in as your answers in those places.
That's true. That's true, sir. I also want to understand, or maybe take your help in helping some of our NRI investors. I want to understand, if let's say you were an NRI, right,
Yeah.
and if given a choice for you to consider the current budget
Hmm.
and maybe look at your investment locations, what would be your personal favorites in that case?
So and for NR, so for NRIs who are wanting to invest back home in their own country, CRE definitely stays as a best asset class for them. Also in terms of the kind of the laws that we have, supportive laws in terms of repatriation of money and the requirements that are there by RBI. I think investments in India definitely stays a good bet. For NRIs, I mean, putting money in fixed deposit doesn't make sense because while you're making money on fixed deposits, your rupee depreciation will eat into the kind of returns that you make. So definitely there has to be a capital appreciation on your investments. And if you want to invest in gold, you can do it in back home in your own country. Gold does not need any specific location for investments. So in uncertain worlds like present world where the world is heading for a recession as per most of the economies and the reports, definitely investments in safe assets which will beat the test of time and which will beat all the other parameters, which will help you beat inflation, gold, and CRE top on that list.
And the kind of demand driven economy we have, we can clearly focus that we will not be the ones who will be enjoying the depression cycles which are going on around the
Definitely,
world.
as I mentioned, right, that the other economies have a lower growth rate or a disinflation growth rate as per IMF and global reports versus India having 7 to 8% growth rate. So we are not in that economy where the economy is going to shrink. We will definitely grow. India will definitely grow in terms of infrastructure development. Coming back again, I think a lot of focus will be definitely because of the China plus one that is happening across the world, where people want to shift their focus away from China and for specifically for manufacturing and setups like that. Again, for let's say bigger global companies like Apple, they are also shifting their manufacturing base to India for a lot of Apple products. Specifically, we have seen a lot of industries and factories coming up in down south just for Apple to make iPhones out of India, made in India, made for the world.
Good to hear that, especially that made in India thing. Uh, just would you like to summarize, maybe let's say in 2 lines, regarding the entire budget regime and your investments? What is your take to our investors?
So yeah, so the budget has been definitely an overallly good budget. A lot of expectations were definitely not met, but a lot of positives for the economy, a lot of positives for the common man, a lot of positives for people in the middle class for from a taxation regime perspective. A lot of softs for ultra HNI investors where the tax focus has been where in the new regime the surcharge has come down from 32% to 25% for people earning more than 5 crore per annum. The surcharge has gone down. So definitely a lot of positives for the world and for India, where India is definitely going to be the shining star. And we're looking at a good infrastructure development across the country.
Thank you, Pradeep, for such wonderful insights on Budget 2023. I request viewers to stay tuned for our next masterclass. Thank you. Thank you, Pradeep.
Thank you so much.